What's over, everybody? You are listening to Havdalah Happy Hour here on the Bethel Podcast Network and broadcasting live on the congregation's YouTube channel. I'm Ben.
I'm Jill.
Emily.
Jeremy.
Shavua Tov, friends. Welcome back.
Shavua Tov.
How was everyone's week?
Everyone's week was good. Emily, I think that last week we filmed during the week because you were heading to California for a conference. However,
How was your trip?
I did not go to California. The fires just didn't make it seem like the best time to go to LA.
Well, for what it's worth, I think you made the right call.
same.
I was so glad I was here for Island Shabbat, and it was a really beautiful Shabbat here at Bethel.
It really
But,
was nice.
Yeah, I would have liked to have gone, but not during the fires.
It just didn't feel smart, right?
Yeah, not the best time to
Next
go
time.
into Los Angeles.
Next time.
Yeah.
Well, I was happy with that decision. I was also happy that you were here with me for a lot of the weekend. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a nice weekend, yeah. It really was.
It was. I loved it.
So what was your kind of decision process not to go? Was it just, did something change or was the conference canceled?
So that was the shocking thing is that they
the
never canceled
conference
it.
was not canceled, which was shocking. And I'm sure it was because many of the people were already in Los Angeles and they gathered and they had a nice, safe time. Thank God they were safe. But Amanda and I were both supposed to go, and we were texting until like 1:30 in the morning making our decision, and it just didn't seem like a good time to go into Los
Better
Angeles.
safe than sorry.
Yeah, that's what we decided.
Not to mention what you would have flown through. Not to make this all about travel, but flying through those winds last week. I think
That's true. This podcast could also be a travel podcast.
It could be. But I don't think it would have been fun flying through 90-mile-an-hour winds.
Probably not.
No.
Yeah.
And all the smoke in the city. And
Yeah.
That's okay. I
Agreed.
was here.
I'm
But
glad
that
you
was
were here.
not the weirdest part of my week.
That's true.
So something happened, and when we were sitting down to record, I heard you talking to Ben, but I typically just tune out anything Ben says if we're not, except for the 30 minutes a week we're doing the podcast, and I heard you mentioning something.
So Jill and Jeremy don't know anything about this yet because we've been so busy I haven't gotten a chance to share. But Ben is very familiar because his office is across from me. And the other day, I got a call that my first instinct was this is a scam call, telling me that I missed federal jury duty in the state of Arizona.
You don't live
I
in
do
the
not
state of
live in the state of
Arizona.
Arizona. And I informed them of that. I said, I do not live there. And they're like, well, we're in this weird predicament because somebody signed that you would appear. And so we need to do a handwriting analysis to prove that it wasn't you.
Well, that's not even the worst part.
Oh, no. It was crazy. And they had my name, my former address, my birthday, my age. And when I was like, well, I don't live in Arizona anymore. I didn't do anything wrong. They were like, oh, give us a second. And then they said to me my new address in Maryland. They're like, oh, we see you live there. So let us find somewhere in Maryland near you where we can get your handwriting analyzed to prove that it wasn't you because we're just trying to help and make sure that you didn't do anything wrong. So far, they're not really asking for anything that seems too weird.
But also things that you just can't find on the internet.
No, you can find that. That is all right.
Exactly.
Things that you can
I could have
easily...
I could have that same information in the next 2 minutes.
Correct.
That this person just got for you.
Right. And they're telling me, well, we just want to make sure you're safe. Please do not get in your car because there is a federal warrant out for your arrest.
Nope, not how it works.
And there are 3 charges against you. And
nope, not how it works.
So please make sure you stay off the roads. So we're going to put you on hold so we can make sure we can find a place near you so that you can take care of the handwriting analysis, and we'll be right back with you. And please stay on with this other officer. Meanwhile,
may we take a pause?
Sure.
May we take a pause?
Absolutely.
Police pause for Jeremy.
Talk about the person on the other line. Was this a man or a woman?
It was a man with like a southern
It was a
accent.
thick southern accent.
Yep. Yeah, very thick southern accent with a 520 area code phone number, which is the Tucson area code. And he's telling me, because I say to him, how can I prove that this is accurate? Because I know there are scams. I do not just trust this off the bat.
Good. So your radar was already
absolutely.
up. Okay. All right.
And
sorry
he's
to interrupt.
can you please just put that phone number in your computer, search it. You can see what number you're being called on and make sure that it's legit.
But first, tell me your social security number.
No, and they weren't, it was so weird because they weren't asking for something. So while I'm on hold and on with this other
What's their hold
officer,
music?
no, there was this other officer who
Alleged.
was so,
Alleged.
right,
Thank you, Ben.
who I could not even understand. So I kept saying, I'm sorry, I can't understand you. I can't understand
What
you.
type of accent was that?
It was mumbly.
That one I
couldn't
didn't hear,
understand.
so I didn't know that
Okay.
one. But
So meanwhile, I'm texting my parents who are in Arizona, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to pull you into this call. So I have my parents merge into the call, and it hangs up on them. And they call me back, and I merge my parents into the call, and it hangs up on them over and over and over.
so interesting.
So eventually it does end up working, and my parents are on, and they're asking all the questions too. And they're like, well, I'm sorry, we can't tell you answers because this is her. And my mother, who is a retired attorney, I was like, my mom's an attorney. She's my attorney. And they're like, well, then we have to Mirandize you right now because
Oh my gosh.
now you're pleading guilty basically by having an attorney on with you.
Ben, why don't
Criminal
what
Justice
is going
101.
Ben, why don't you and me get these phone calls? Why don't they call us?
Years ago, I had gotten a voicemail, and you know how like when it's a scam, like a big chunk of it gets like left off because it's a recording. So all I got from the voicemail was warrant out for your arrest in New York State. I was like, well, I haven't been to New York in like 2 years, so obviously this is not real.
But it gets weirder because then they're like, okay, so we want you to go to handwriting analysis at this police station, which they gave me a correct address. I looked it up, but they're like, before you go, because once you walk in, you are a federal criminal because you've missed this federal jury duty.
No, you are not. That is not how that works.
They have to arrest you. So
Not
first
how
you
that
have
works.
to go put down some money.
There it is.
And
there it is.
As long as you have a debit card and you can go to this place.
There we
And I
go.
said, well,
There we
I
go.
don't have a debit card. And they're like, oh, then you can
So disappointing.
Venmo.
Right.
I'm like,
Cash at me the money.
and
How
the whole
much?
time,
How much? How
I
much?
didn't even
How
ask.
much?
I'm like, I'm sorry, but I am going to have to call the official number myself and verify all of this because I don't trust that this is true. Like the whole time I'm like,
Well, that was the best
doubting it.
part.
But in the middle of all of this, Ben Wachstein's at my door waving at me,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm finding out if I'm a federal criminal. So can we just like talk later? I didn't tell him that, but I'm like, hi, Ben. And then I'm telling Ben Crushtool in between all of this, like, what's happening. And 2 seconds after I hang up with these guys, the FBI scam department calls me and says, we hear that you're hanging up on this sheriff because you think it's a scam. So we're calling to tell you that it's not a scam.
But it was a scam.
It was.
Nope,
So
not
Ben
how
looks
that
up
works
and-
either.
Not how that works.
They're like, you can look up our number. Ben looks it up and
So
he's
it
like,
ended
yep,
up-
it's a scam.
The first thing that comes up when you type in the number, which that's like how they get you, is like, this is the official FBI headquarters number,
Right.
which it is. But the first thing that comes up is from the FBI saying, this is a scam. Do not answer this call.
Yep.
Report it here immediately. Blah, blah, blah. The whole thing was
So
like
this
insane.
there was a secondary
tag
call.
teaming.
Yep.
Tag teaming.
That's smart.
It's sophisticated. They're getting
smart.
They
very
are getting
sophisticated.
sophisticated.
Yeah.
So people do not trust this.
Yeah.
And I literally tell this scam department, I'm sorry, but you can understand because you are the FBI scam department that I can't trust a number called to me. So I'm going to call back the number on the FBI page and I'm going to verify that this is all accurate. And they're
Which
like, well,
flustered
just so
them
you
terribly.
know, just so you know, you will be arrested because you're questioning the FBI and blah, 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 blah.
Right. You're not allowed to question the FBI.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I hang up with these people. I have a lovely meeting with the sisterhood.
Aw, I
And
love it.
after that, while I'm thinking about all of this in the back of my mind, as soon as that's over, I call the official jury duty number. I say, I just need to verify, did I have jury duty that I signed for that I wasn't aware of? And they said, nope, you had no jury duty. This entire thing was a scam. Do not worry. I'm like,
Okay.
that's what I thought. But
So we will
for
turn
an
this
hour-
week's episode of the Havdalah Happy Hour into a large PSA. for
PSA
our
for
Don't
all
trust.
our listeners.
And
do
good thing
not
I
answer
knew
phone
that.
calls that you do not recognize. Do not trust anyone. In fact, let's all become sovereign citizens now. We no longer recognize the authority of.
so there was an hour where I might have been a federal criminal, but
Wow, that is a crazy story.
It's insane.
So I will tell you a scam that's going around. This started a bunch of years ago, and it's actually happened to a few people who I know. I won't mention names so I don't get in trouble. But there is a scam that's out there, and this is truly, for our listeners, please share this information because this
is how you protect yourself.
This can get a lot of people, but you will receive a call from someone saying that they're a law enforcement official or a police officer. They typically target elderly people, and they will do their research just like they did for Emily, and they will have the name of a grandchild, and they will say,
to my parents' friends,
and they will say that your grandchild so-and-so was arrested for drunk driving. They are okay. However, wait a minute. I want to start.
So
is this going to be the exact? Wait, let me tell mine, and then you tell yours.
For sure.
They're going to say that the grandkid is fine. However, they are so upset that their parents are going to find out, and that all of this. They said that if we call you, you might be willing to post the bail money.
That's a brilliant scam.
But it's a brilliant, because what happens is the grandparent at that point is already, they're worried about their grandkid.
Correct.
They're angry about their grandkid. But what do all grandparents want to help? What do they want to do?
Protect the grandkids,
but also,
spoil them
but
and
also,
give them money.
But also undermine the parents,
undermine
right?
the parents.
So if the grandparent can say, yes, I have to protect my grandkid, and you're right, the parent's going to be mad, without even thinking like you did, that money has already been wired over. So what's your story?
So my parents' friends got a call from their granddaughter.
Really?
I'm in College Park, and I got arrested. I hit a pregnant woman in her car, and they arrested me, and she was in hysterics, so her voice was weird. I need bail, I need $19,000.
Oh, God.
They gave it like that, bro.
Cash.
Aye.
They left cash at a spot.
Yeah. See that?
And then they did it again. They were out $38,000.
Wait a minute. They called. They got
God.
arrested again?
No, they said, I need more. The lawyer, I need
That's
more.
being greedy.
That is being greedy. If you're going to
My
scam.
parents' friends, I'll show you guys the story on the news. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to mention anyone's names because it's
embarrassing.
Well, it's
mortifying.
embarrassing and it's terrible because it preys on.
It preys on people.
That's
who
next
are
level.
vulnerable. I know.
To use the kid's voice or to pretend as the kid.
And like 21-year-old college girls kind of can all
In
sound
hysterics.
And
Yeah.
It makes me physically sick to think that they
awful.
did it to these really good
It's really
people.
terrible.
Well, and I had no problem going to the police station to do a handwriting analysis. That
course.
wouldn't have been an issue. But as soon as they're telling me I need to put down money,
So what I'm afraid is going to be the next level down the road with these scams. They will use AI to manipulate.
I mean, you're already
actual
starting
voices.
to see it with deep fake videos.
We
and
saw
stuff like
this.
that.
There was a local principal
Yeah.
last year, and we actually
talked
talked about it on
Yeah.
the podcast. He has now filed a lawsuit against not only the school system, but
As well he should have.
the individuals who were involved with distributing, recording, and
As well
doing
he should
all,
have.
But that was
was
one of the first big
awful.
examples of using AI to manipulate someone with some pretty bad stuff.
Man, we've come a long way from the African prince.
Right. That's exactly right.
That was one of the first.
Remember, it was one of the first.
That was the
and
AOL, right?
Yeah, it was like very, very early in the internet's early days. And again, it was also targeting, I mean, this is how scammers are sort of sophisticated and smart. They target sort of vulnerable people, usually the elderly who don't have a good grip with technology and, all these other factors. And of course, a grandparent want to help out their grandkid, and it's really awful.
And that's why that story is brilliant. And I didn't even realize that there's a version where they will pretend to be the actual kid.
And they were sure. Like, we just wanted to help our granddaughter, and we almost like didn't want to involve her parents because we didn't want to upset them. We were just trying to protect her, and
no secrets. That's the
and that's why like I said to like my brother and my parents and my kids, like, we kind of need like a safe word for our family.
Smart. That's very smart.
And then when my parents were telling me this story, I knew right away it was it. Before my dad could say, "You'll never believe what happened to blah, blah, blah," they got a call from blah, blah, blah saying this. I'm like, stop right there.
But when you say the grandkid called you, though, I do think that takes it to another level.
Oh, it's
For
a
sure.
diabolical level.
Yeah.
It's
Crazy.
sick
Terrible.
That's
to
just
think
crazy.
that would happen to my parents.
Well, and apparently they work in groups now too.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
I
well,
heard
you
three
got that.
separate voices.
Right. They only heard their granddaughter's voice.
Right.
Emily, I would have, only thing different I would have done in your shoes, I would have done the handwriting analysis. I would have told them to come to me. Let me do the handwriting. I would have just wanted to see who
Play
shows
along.
up.
I
And
totally would have, except that when they started telling me I had to have post bail because I would be arrested if I didn't.
There's no such thing as bail before you've been arrested.
I'm like, I'm like, that
also, in the
doesn't make
state
sense.
of Maryland, we've largely eliminated bail.
I said I didn't do anything wrong. Why would I do that?
Ugh, it's
so weird.
insane.
Yeah.
So that's also like another way
fun.
you can sort of tell if you know the criminal justice system and you know how these things work. You can also see like little cracks in their stories.
Right.
Well, and when Ben and I were talking, well, Ben was there while I was talking to the FBI. I'm like, well, I know a number of judges and lawyers in the state of Maryland. I'm very happy to talk to them too.
Yeah. Right?
that was
Just
when the
to
third
We can
Verify.
verify a warrant very easily.
Yeah.
that was when the third voice came on. No, it's
The
okay.
FBI.
I promise. It's
Yeah.
fine.
It was funny when he was telling us, like, well, you just do whatever you go and want to do because it's really terrible for you. You're going to be arrested and all the terrible things will happen to you, but you just do what you need.
Is that how people talk in Arizona?
No, that's how he was
No.
talking.
I
on the
know,
phone.
but
Yeah.
he was
That's how he
supposed to
was-
be from Arizona,
Yeah.
though.
Right. And
was-
I actually did not know that you could change the number that shows up on somebody's
Oh, yeah.
phone. So that was new information for me.
Or like I get spam calls from a 410 number and it says Pikesville.
I like to answer them and like play around with them because it's fun. It's like a fun activity for me.
Maybe it's
Um,
fun.
This
Yeah.
was just a big waste of time.
I have a friend who used to record that when a telemarketer would call, and he would just record the whole thing, and you'd have fun with them. And
Yeah, you can have a good time.
you know, there's one thing with an actual telemarketer, though. You know, I do understand this is a person; it's their job, right? They're working, it's their living, and as annoying as it can be, it is someone who is out there trying to make a living with honest work.
Yes, but
Again,
that doesn't mean
honest
that
and
I can't
legal.
have fun with it.
absolutely. But it's the people who are scamming.
Right.
Yeah.
That's who I have
Yeah.
the issue with. Telemarketers, while annoying, again, they're just like the four of us and all of our listeners. They're just out there trying to get through the day and make an honest living. But scam, no.
Telemarketing is, yeah, it's different, a little different, not great, but scamming is very bad. And like we've seen, it's getting more and more sophisticated, scary.
Yep.
So do what you need to protect yourselves.
How's that do not call list going? Is that thing
That's
still
like
out
the
there?
funny
for
thing
home
is it does
phones?
exist, but I mean, like I saw a story once of a guy who was getting the calls, and he put his number on the do not call list, and he was still getting calls. So he figured out a way to basically send them letters, like cease and desist letters, or that he was going to sue them, and they would send him money. So he actually made like a nice chunk of change by sending these letters to these companies saying like, I'm going to sue you if you don't. And they just send him, $1,300 here, $1,200 there. Adds up.
Yeah.
Sure
Adds
does. Wow.
Do people still have home phones? I still have a home phone.
I
by the
do
way.
not.
I don't.
No. Did you
No.
have one back
My
home?
parents
No.
do. My mom wants to get rid of it, but my dad, I don't think, wants to get rid of it.
My
so.
parents do. My in-laws do. David and I stopped about a year and a half, 2 years ago, maybe.
I mean, really, what is the point?
So I kept the home phone as long as I could until they made the switch from, I guess from an actual landline. And they would call it, I think, like a bell system or a bell line. When they made the switch to make it
Fiber optic.
hooked into the cable, that's when I didn't love it, because having that home phone line, it was separate. If the internet went down, if the power went out, you still had a home phone. And doing a lot of work from home, sometimes it was just easier to use a home phone. We still have it, but it's still hooked into the cable. And if there's a power outage, the phone will only work. There's a battery in there for maybe an hour or two before that goes out also.
Yeah, we got rid of it.
I just want to be able to hook the computer back up to the cable so it can make that noise again.
The AOL,
Just for fun.
Arrows.
you've got mail.
Oh, God, remember that?
That was the first.
I'm telling you, the early days of the internet were like some of the craziest.
What was your first email server?
It was AOL, for sure.
I was actually Juno,
Were you Juno?
and then AOL.
I was Arrows.
Arrows, I
remember
remember
that.
Arrows.
I had Hotmail.
There was also Netscape, the other browser instead of Internet Explorer, which was the sort of standard. Netscape. It was definitely AOL. And then I think we switched to Comcast. And I became sort of very attached to the Comcast. So then when we were switching again, I was like, oh, God, what am I going to do? Like, and now I think the Gmail is the best.
I just use iCloud.
Yeah.
If our internet was as slow now as it was then, we would go crazy.
Yeah.
It took forever, but that's
that's all we
that's
knew.
all we knew, right?
Sometimes my work computer's so slow.
And then when you
I know,
log
we
on
get
to
so
AOL,
frustrated.
you'd have like those
Oh
blocks,
yeah, the little the
Uh-huh.
home screen of the yeah. I still think often of the early days of the internet where there was a lot less regulation and a lot more like just like all the crazy websites. I mean, it was
And
such
chat
an
rooms.
interesting time, right? Chat rooms, because it was sort of like a double-edged sword. Like on the one hand, like look, you have all this information and connectivity at your fingertips. You can connect with people all over the world, and that's a good thing, I think, to be able to have that. But then, of course, you have the downside of that as well, which especially in those chat rooms, you get all sorts of like creeps and whatnot. But like the idea of like you being able, and I remember this is how schools were sort of billing you, like you could do research and you could like have a friend in like Azerbaijan, right? And you could have a friend there and you could talk to them and they could like teach you their culture. Like
those chat rooms were fun.
They were fun.
The
they were
AOL
fun.
chat rooms,
Yeah.
you could do it by location.
Sure.
You could do it by
Subject, topic.
ASL.
Yeah. Oh God.
Anyone?
Yeah,
ASL?
sure. Age, sex, location.
There you
Oh,
go.
right.
Remember
That is how you would start
I do
every
remember that.
conversation.
That's how you know that we're all
ASL.
old.
ASL.
Yep.
It is incredible how much we rely on the internet also. And I always said I'll never become this person.
we all do.
But last week woke up and we didn't have any internet. We had power, we had our water, but something happened and we didn't have the internet. And it's just amazing. All of our TVs now, we have one of those, we got away from the traditional cable providers. So we have one of those internet-based, whatever it is, TV providers, which is fine. But when the internet goes down, can't watch TV. The devices that our kids have that they will occasionally use during the day if they're doing whatever, they're connected to Wi-Fi only. So in the morning before school, what they would typically do, so many of their activities when they're waking up, they can't do, and they're bored and they don't know what to do. And read a book, go play with your toys. No. And literally fast forward 45 minutes later, I'm walking downstairs getting ready to go to work. One kid's reading a book and the other kid's playing with their Matchbox car. I said, this is amazing.
Matchbox cars are
There's
great.
no there's no electronics. There's no this. The kids are. I canceled the appointment we had with the internet people that were coming out. My wife put them back. Well, she called and said, "No, we still need you." I'm like, "No, this is great. Our kids are reading books. We don't need you to fix the Wi-Fi. Leave it out for 2 weeks. Come back in February."
That's my house every Shabbat.
There is
It's fantastic.
something to disconnectivity, and yeah, Shabbat is great for that. But then also like when I like to go away for a couple of days, usually after the holidays, and I'll go to like a remote place where there is no internet, and it is delightful. Like I like to sit in like a very rustic cabin or a tent even, and know anything, and it's very nice to be able to reconnect with like the world around you.
You lost me at rustic. Sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna fix that. We're gonna go camping, Emily.
That's
you and
not
I are
for
gonna go
me.
camping. Jill, you're coming too. We're gonna Havdalah
we
Happy Hour
glamp?
camping.
Can we glamp?
No, we're not gonna go glamping. We're gonna go camping. Backcountry
glamp?
camping.
On a
Glamping.
cruise boat.
Okay. No, Ben will not.
I
do
will not
cruises.
because
know.
I've seen Poseidon Adventure and I know what happens on those boats.
Well, I will go camping when you go on a cruise.
I've been on a cruise. I have been on one.
I was not there to witness it.
It's true. I
I've
was
been to a cabin
14.
I'm good with cabins with
in West Virginia.
bathrooms.
Cabin John. Hey, guess what time it is, guys?
It's time for Shonda of the Week.
There we go. That's
There it
the
is.
music.
That's what we were looking for.
Yeah, took 2 years to find that button that
Two
was already on,
seasons.
but
two
right.
seasons.
You can't use your scam as your Shonda.
No, I
I've-
won't. I won't use this.
Although it was a Shonda.
It
Let's
was a
That was a
Shonda.
huge.
Actually, that is the ultimate.
That's a
Shonda.
pretty ultimate Shonda.
It was, but I could equally use the fires in California
I know.
and
That's
not
really
going
terrible.
to the
Yeah, it's a shame.
conference.
That's pretty bad. Yeah, it's really sad. We all know people who live there. and,
Yeah.
it's devastating. And living in Maryland, we do not have a ton of natural disasters. But like every summer, David's like, I don't know how people live in Oklahoma. And then there's a hurricane in September. How do people live in Florida? And then the wildfires and earthquakes and mudslides. How do you?
It's true. We have other issues.
Right. But
we basically had a
pretty-
blizzard last week.
But as
That
far
was
as, like,
not a blizzard.
That was
natural-
far from a
As
blizzard.
far as natural disasters go, we're in a pretty decent area.
I don't know. I lost 2 whiskey tumblers in that earthquake. Was it? How long ago was that?
It was
2000.
a long
Yeah,
time
it was
It
a
was
long
either
time ago, and
2011
It was
or
at
2012.
least 13 years ago because I was living in
And
my
they were
old
my
house.
favorite.
It was 2011
And they
or
were
12,
sitting
'cause I know
there
where I
on
was.
their
Probably a
drying rack, and
What?
I
Right.
lost them.
So fun story during the, and we're talking about, can you get us a date on the,
yeah.
if you have your phone
sure.
out, there was an earthquake.
It was like a nothing earthquake.
Nothing.
I'm going to say it was either 2011 or 2012. And I was working for, actually, I'm not going to tell this story. Jill,
2011.
2011.
Oh, very good on your
We'll-
date, Jeremy. Nice-
Yes.
And
nicely
the reason
done.
I knew it couldn't be after 12 because I was not living in my current house, and that's how I knew it was before 12.
In the interest for me not having anxiety for the next 45 minutes and wondering if I should cut out the story I was about to tell of what happened during the earthquake, we'll just skip to the next Shonda. Who's up?
Oh, I'll go. I'll go. So I got in my car leaving work yesterday, and of course, because it's frigid, my tire pressure light went on,
Oh, that's the worst.
and it was cold out. But I'm pretty neurotic, and I would prefer to fill up my tires on my way home. So I stopped at a gas station on Reisterstown Road, and I went and I started to fill them up, and I'm noticing that, like, as I'm filling it up, usually you click the number that you want it to be. So it's 35 for my front, 33 for my back. This is old hat for me. And I see that it says 8, 54, 77, 1. I'm like, shoot, this thing is not working. So I'm like, okay, I'll just go to the other gas station where I know they have the free air. Whatever. Why would anyone charge for air? But okay. And
Capitalism.
same thing happened. And it just annoyed me. Like, I'm trying to be.
Was there a
There was
malfunction
a
with?
malfunction with both of the pumps at both.
Oh,
of the
both
Wow.
of
stations.
them.
That's a coincidence.
So I was texting my family. I'm like, I'm at my second gas station. My fingers are numb at this point because I'm trying to, like, unscrew the little thing, and it's cold. I didn't have gloves. So my kids are like, oh, we have one of the portable air pumps in our car. So the Shonda turned into a great thing. Do any of you own portable air compressors for?
I think I might have one, but my problem is I always forget to charge it.
No, this
It
one
plugs into the
my
cigarette
cigarette lighter, which, by the way, I searched and found it in my car.
I used to play with that
was-
as a kid. I definitely burned myself on it.
Sure.
Oh,
So-
can
but
you-
there's no thing in it. It's empty. It's like an open.
You think
hole.
about
Remember how
this
you
as
used to
kids.
how
You
used to
push it,
in.
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
hot.
Do you remember?
And our parents would just
Yeah.
let us.
They-
Who doesn't have? Who didn't?
Right, it's like
Right.
a fun
But
button to play
now
with.
There's not any. It's like it's
Look at my
covered-
arm, Ben.
Yeah.
Look at my arm.
I definitely
Look at my arm.
Mine is covered with just a plastic cap. There's nowhere to, like, get it hot. It's just a charger.
Well, that is the real Shonda, is that there's no more cigarette lighters in
But
cars.
this little compressor
Really?
thing filled
No,
all of my
not really.
tires
A
in
bench
under
seat
10
and a
minutes
cigarette.
in my garage, and it was great. So the Shonda turned into a great thing, and then I just bought one for me and David to keep in the
Oh,
house.
that's funny.
Smart.
So it was great, and I recommend now that you live in a state where the temperature fluctuates.
Even if it's not temperature, everyone should have. I actually used to carry a hydraulic jack. It came in a box.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a lot easier if you or someone has a flat tire. It's just a lot easier to just pump it up, a tire
So
thing.
it's like 31
And
it's
jumper
31
cables.
bucks on Amazon.
Jumper cables
Yes.
also.
Yes,
It's good to
always
always
Life
have.
lessons on Havdalah Happy
Yes.
Hour. Protect
So it
yourself
was-
from scams
This
and get
was,
yourself a
this
jack.
was a good episode. I feel like we actually played
Yes.
like a
PSA.
Yes, we're pumping out good information today.
Yeah.
Who's next?
I have been having trouble coming up with this. I had a pretty great week, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think
That
like
makes me happy.
of something that
I don't know
like,
if that's ever happened.
irritated
doing the
me.
show.
I'm having trouble really thinking of anything. I was mildly annoyed with the TV in the chapel, which sometimes has a mind of its own and like turns itself off. So it did that, and I was like annoyed, but it's been several days now. I don't quite understand what it does or why it does this. But yeah, I don't really have anything nothing super duper negative. I mean,
That's exciting.
That's good.
yeah. I mean, yeah. And I try not to focus on like news, so I only read TMZ for the most part. And even on there, I mean,
We'll take it. It's okay to have I feel like everyone gets a pass every now and then. You get
I was trying to
every
think.
season we each get one pass on the Shonda.
I mean, on Wednesday, I decided to see what it would be like to be an irresponsible employee.
Barely.
So, well, yeah. So here's the funny thing. Here's the
Did
Shonda.
you leave early?
Here's the
No.
Shonda. Here's the Shonda. The Shonda is that I noticed that for the first time since high holiday time, I didn't have any meetings scheduled for Wednesday. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll take the day off. Like, I have the time. I could use another day. And I then felt guilty and then didn't do it. But I'm like, you know what? I'll be irresponsible though. So I slept in late.
What time is sleeping in late?
For me, it's not that late.
late.
Like I got up, I think, like I normally get up pretty early, but then this I got up, I think at like 8.
That is late.
Which, yeah, it was late. But then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go get myself like a coffee, like a breakfast sandwich. I rolled into here at like 10:30.
Good for you.
And
Good for you.
I felt so guilty about all
Wearing
of it.
casual
Yes,
clothes.
wearing jeans and a hoodie that said chillin' with tefillin on it.
I loved that.
I love that
And-
Very cute, by the
I
way.
was just like, oh, this is both good but also terrible at the same time. I felt so guilty and like I couldn't stop thinking about how terrible of an employee I was, and I'll never do it again.
Oh, Ben,
That's the
you
Shonda.
should.
But you were there to help me with my federal
Right.
crime, so
So the Shonda was that I didn't take the day off and I should have.
That is actually a good Shonda, and maybe one we should all remember that we do need some days off.
Mental health is important.
This is again, we're pumping out these
PSA.
PSAs today. That's
Jeremy,
I think mine's very simple. When it snows, shovel your sidewalks.
Oh, yeah.
If you can't shovel it, they're still your responsibility. Hire someone to do it or ask someone to do it. Chances are your neighbor would probably be glad to help you. That's all I got.
it's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shovel your sidewalks.
great.
All right. Well, I
We're
guess that's
good?
going to do it for us today. Shovel your
Anything
sidewalks.
else we should share?
Yeah, we're going to talk. Join us next time for.
Wait a
more-
minute, hang on. Let me reset the intro music. Hold on. I feel like I can't wait to hear what's going to come out of his mouth. There you go, Ben.
Join us next time for more life lessons on Havdalah Happy Hour, which you've been listening to on the Bethel Podcast Network. You can find all of our shows wherever you go to listen to your favorite podcasts or on Bethel Congregation's YouTube channel, where all sorts of other fun videos are. Remember, you can text us and follow our social media platforms, including, but not limited to, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search Bethel Balto. Shavuot, everybody. Hope you have a great week.
Shavua too.
Shavua tov.
There's some police officers from
Yeah,
Montana
right.
outside waiting
We got to
for
go
Emily.
and take care of our warrants.
Montana
So,